are, but move you even deeper into contrition and conversion.
Right. So what do you say to? So I think there are two common experiences with confessing sin emotionally,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to address them both. I think that people often feel shame,
Mm-hmm.
and shame convinces them to not confess their sins. And then I think the other side of that spectrum, well, maybe it's not the other side, because I actually think they're deeply similar, is that people experience a kind of scrupulosity where they become like deathly afraid, and then they either do one of two things. It either keeps them out of confession, right? So that's similar there, but or it gets them to confess things that aren't actually sins.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go with the first one though. What's the role of shame in confession? And here's why I say the role of shame.
Yeah.
Because it seems to me, I mean, I know this is true, like we are supposed to have a horror for our sins,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so like accompanying a true horror for sin would be some negative emotion.
Yeah, right.
You know, like there's
Absolutely.
got to be.
Yeah.
And so given that, right, you can make the argument that there's like a positive aspect to this shame,
Yeah.
right, in confession. But like, where's the line? Where's too far? You know, this time. Don't put on your ecclesiologist toupee. Put on your your Catholic psych
suspenders.
I don't remember what it
suspenders.
Map,
suspenders
yeah,
for
CMAP suspenders.
Yeah, my CP map suspenders. Yeah, that's what that is.
CP map, right? Yeah, Catholic psych. That makes sense.
No, that's a great question. It's an important one. So I think understanding like shame, when shame is related to guilt,
mm-hmm.
guilt is that feeling that says something's wrong, and it's meant to move us towards reconciliation. It's meant to move us towards repairing what is broken. I feel guilty that this has happened, and I'm sorry for it. If there's shame attached to that, it might be because what I did is known. What I did is evident, or what I did has caused this problem, and I'm ashamed that I am the source of that problem, or that people who know me and love me can now see this thing that I have done. And so there's a way that shame kind of takes over. And sometimes the fear in going to confession is like, I'm ashamed to say this to the priest. Like, maybe I'm friends with the priest, or I think really highly of the priest. And I don't want the priest to think differently about me. I think that's the kind of shame that comes up, is people are worried that the priest is going to think differently of you. And I can't speak for the emotional state of every single priest. I know that priests are human, sure. And I know that priests are imperfect. I myself am both of those things.
Thank you again for clarifying.
Yeah, no,
I was beginning to forget. So I was just sitting here thinking like, man, this perfect person in front of me.
The thing that I can say is that because priests are human, because they are imperfect, they might not always respond exactly the way that we want them to.
Right, yeah.
But that feeling of shame, I would also say, I think overwhelmingly, priests don't care who it is that's bringing the sin there. And even if they do care about who it is, what they want actually is for you to bring the sin to Christ. Bring it to Jesus. Because again, when the priest is there, he's not there on his own behalf. Like, I don't sit in the confessional so that I can get all the gossip and so that I can know who I should favor or who I should try to shame or shun.
Right.
I sit there so that Jesus can be present to you. Like, the whole purpose of my being in the confessional is to bring Christ and his love and his mercy to you. That's all I care about.
Right. And remembering that it's a place of joy.
Yeah.
And healing.
If ever my motivation changes from that, then I'm on the wrong track. Personally, me as the priest, right?
Yeah.
So shame can have this very positive role in saying, I know what I've done and I'm ashamed of it, which drives us to seek mercy. It pushes us towards that desire for mercy. But shame in the negative way makes me think that because my sin now is known, I have to run away. I have to hide from goodness. I have to stay away from God. I have to stay away from this possibility. So go back to Eden. Adam and Eve hide themselves in the garden. They are ashamed of what they have done, and so they hide instead of seeking out God who could heal them. When Moses kills the Egyptian, He hears
Reruns.
The next day he finds two other Israelites fighting, and he tries to stop them, and they say, "Are you going to kill us the way you killed the Egyptian?" He says, "Surely this must be known," and he runs away in shame and he hides. And it's only in the burning bush that God comes to him and says, "What are you running from? I've got a mission for you, and you're going to carry it out." In spite of that shame, in spite of this thing that you're carrying and this guilty conscience that you have. So shame that is directing us away from God, it's a lie, and we have to be able to name that voice of shame for what it is, that it's a lie. But it can be really hard. It can be really hard to confront that kind of shame because it's telling us something about ourselves, and it's also maybe exaggerating how obvious this is to everyone. This comes up actually less often with confession and more often with people coming to church. I hear this all the time from people. They've lived a particular lifestyle, whatever it might be, for a long time,
Right.
and they come to church. And what they say is, it felt like everyone was judging me.
Right.
And the reality is, you could feel that in a non-religious setting, right?
Yeah.
You might be carrying some baggage, and you show up at an Ivy League school for class, and you feel like everyone is judging you. Everyone knows that I don't really belong here, that I'm not really smart enough to be in this classroom.
Right.
And I promise you, nobody is thinking that. Maybe one guy.
Right.
He's the guy with the sweater tied around his neck.
Right.
No,
only
the really
one guy, and
preppy
he's
style.
a jerk. So
Yeah,
who
exactly.
cares?
Exactly. No, he's clearly costumed as the evil villain of the movie. So don't worry about it.
Right.
But
right.
people will come in. They'll think like, I walked into church and I just felt like everyone was judging me. And I'm like, not only is nobody judging you, nobody knows who you are, and nobody has any inkling of what it is, unless you decide to walk into church carrying a sign that lists all the things that you have done that are wrong. Nobody knows what you did. But this is what shame does. Shame tells us that everybody knows how bad you are. Not only are you bad, like shame, that voice of shame defines us as bad, but it also says, and everybody knows about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so then that shame keeps us from seeking God's mercy because we're so afraid of other people knowing what we are or how we are or what we've done. What the sacrament of confession says loud and clear is anyone can come in here and seek God's mercy. Mm-hmm. Anyone can ask for this gift of grace. Bring your shame. Bring that weariness, bring your guilt, and leave it here so that you can be healed. And so it's the opposite of come to confession so that you can feel more shame.
Thanks for watching today's video. Let us know what you thought down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.